Okay, so I love code breaking and I love occult wisdom. I love diagrams, as you can see. And what I love is teaching what I know. And so this video is a very bold attempt to summarize what's going to be coming up in this online School of Mysticism classes that I have planned for us, which are going to be weekly pay-per-view classes teaching mysticism. What is mysticism? Well, if you look it up, mysticism just means the return to God. And so what are we doing when we're looking into all of this stuff? We're going far and wide into all of these different rabbit holes all of the time, trying to pick up this ancient knowledge that we've forgotten, but we remember through our cellular memory. We need these kind of pictorial images to stimulate those memories. Why it's been lost and hidden for so long, that's another rabbit hole and another story that's in my War in the Name of God series. But it really, really is all to do with Ireland and what happened to the Bible. And so if we take the viewpoint that, you know, the Bible was always meant to be an allegorical teaching, inner metaphysical happenings of anatomy, of physiology, or structures and functions within the body in harmony with the cosmos, which is this zodiac wheel here representing how the stars move on their giant cycle, and then the sun and the moon within that, and then all the planets within that, and then the human on the earth and how we fit into that bigger harmonic with all of these different frequencies and waveforms moving all the time. How does one little human fare against all of these energies of the fates, you know, the fixed stars that control us archetypally as patterns that shine down upon us from the sky, that when we stare up at, we can see that they make all these different shapes and patterns that get turned into the characters and names of the mythology and the legend, and then they form into archetypes. How does that affect us? How does that affect our psyche, our behavior? And all of that can be explained when we start unpacking these kind of alchemical tool maps, right? And what is the point of it all? Well, it's to get to know who you are, right? Healer, know thyself. How can you expect to do the highest inner alchemical teaching called the Sacred Secretion, or raising the Christ oil within? It's the highest form of inner alchemy. How can you expect to do that if you haven't actually paid attention to how this operates on a day-to-day basis, right? You know, this is the Iesa crest. If we, you know, filter that Irish word meaning of Iesa, Jesus, Christ, crest, through what it means in Irish, and then cross-reference that through what it can be interpreted through the Daoist wisdom keepers, we find the same things. And those same three things, called the three treasures, are fundamentally all about the movement of energy through these energy centers in the human body, 1, 2, 3, otherwise known as cauldrons. These are our inner alchemical cauldrons, and they contain all of the elements of the zodiac wheel. And so when we get to know this knowledge, we can better understand how we're working in a metaphysical, alchemical way, but we're also, it's working on the structures and functions kind of way as well. So what I want to teach is what I've learned in my Chinese medicine degree. You know, when I first had acupuncture all those years ago, and I felt energy moving around in my palms and my feet where the needles were put nearby, and then all of this energy started cycling in my body, and then it kind of went out my hands and my feet, and I was like, oh my God, that's magic. I want to learn magic. So I went to Chinese medicine school to learn magic. I did not go to come and pop out and be an acupuncturist, which I did, but my real core drive was I want to learn magic, right? And so in the Chinese medicine teaching, we have a lot of symbols too. They have this as well. This is theirs. you know, all of that. But you may recognize that Tai Chi symbol as well. We're going to be learning all of the language of symbol and how it directly relates to the human body and human alchemy, inner alchemy, and how that relates back to Ireland and this amazing tool for metaphysical inner alchemical work called the inner weaving. And when we overlay all of these together as one sandwich, which I call the human hologram, and we layer up these layers, and then we imprint that into our bodies, just like a video game, like you would upload all of this information. These are codexes. So when you learn, where I'm going to teach about Ireland and the megaliths and how all of this constellations fit on there in perfect arrangement that matches, they all match. When you learn this as a codex, this is a codex, this is a codex, this zodiac wheel is a codex, and then the Neijing too, and you sandwich them all together and you upload that into your alive human Iesa body. How much information have you just uploaded? And you put all of that in there, and then you do your microcosmic orbit, your sacred secretion, running energy up and down your spine through your brain, amplifying energy within your body month to month. You put yourself in harmony with the cycles of the sun and the moon. What do you think is going to happen? Something very powerful happens, I can tell you that, and it is really what I've been tracking through the rule, which is it repeatable? Is it a repeatable scientific experiment? Like if I do that this month and I get this effect, and then I do it again and the effect is slightly different but same, and then it's building, and then this month, and then I skip that month, and then I skip a couple of months, and then I start it up again. And lo and behold, the same effect keeps coming. And when I've cross-referenced what has been happening through their wisdom, through the wisdom of the Daoists, I'm like, it is. It actually is. And it's interesting because this teaching of mine was basically based on a theory. Does the Daoist painting of the inner weaving match Ireland? Because I went around Ireland and then I looked on my wall when I got back home and I saw these two pictures, a map of Ireland and the map of the Neijing too. I was like, well, they're the same. And so if they're the same, what does that mean in terms of history and hidden history and the real origins of alchemy and alchemy, the real origins of the Bible, and where did they get their information from, and East meets West and all of that kind of stuff. And so when you start doing this practice, it's a holistic practice, which means that, you know, you're not just cultivating energy within your body and so what, and so what. It's actually activating your cellular memory with all of these codexes to remember your truth, to remember hidden history, lost history, to remember lost knowledge. This is the art of waking up your inner wisdom keeper, right? And it's not difficult. It's just detailed and layered, because what we're going to be doing in this school is just week by week adding into these layers, going around Ireland, learning all the parts on one level, going around the tree of life, learning all the parts on one level, going around the human body, where are my organs, what do they do, etc., and then learning how to just layer them up, and then you kind of stand back, and then you circle back around, and then you take a different angle, and then you have another look, and everything starts to slot together like a jigsaw puzzle. And that's what I've realized as well, is that, you know, I've written a lot of this stuff in my 3 books out of a 4-book series. There's an online course, and there's a lot of free YouTube videos, but no one can be inside my brain to see what I see. And the only way I'm going to get this stuff out of my brain is to do it in this way on the blackboard, which I find super fun. And that will basically weave all the parts together. So what I teach on this blackboard, you'll be able to reference in the books, and it will start to kind of put itself together as the hologram, the human hologram. And also, what I want to introduce to this whole world at the moment, you know, I was offline most of 2024, and when I got back online, I was like, oh my God, what has happened to the internet? What has happened to the world? It's gone dark and it's gone boring. Like everyone's the same. Everyone's got the same yelly kind of like screaming for attention. Watch my video. Thumbnails all look the same. And I'm like, what has happened to everybody? It's all just a bit much. It's all stressing me out. And I think that's just where we're at right now. We're at this kind of overload of information where everyone's scrambling. But the thing is, no one's really realizing that we're in a biofeedback loop with the information that we're uploading. So it's this input-output situation where everyone's just kind of picking up information from all these rabbit holes. And, you know, rabbit hole training is not a holistic teaching, and it's not going to get us anywhere. So I'm really hoping that I can bring this back into a bit more of a step-by-step breakdown of this, you know, sacred secretion teaching, which, you know, you look into the Daoist, they've got it. You look into the Kabbalists or the Jewish teaching, they've got it. They actually call it the same thing, the chariot. The Merkava, the chariot in Chinese medicine, is the unification of the masculine and feminine meridians in the spine. And the teaching of the chariot in Judaic teaching is forbidden. So, you know, what we're trying to do with the sacred secretion stuff is we're trying to learn forbidden knowledge, and we're trying to learn it in these from compartmentalized teachings, and it's forbidden at the same time. So where do we start from? Where are our basic building blocks? And that's what I hope to fill in the gaps with this, which is, if we just come back to learning this, the human body as the basic starting point, then we can slot all the other stuff onto that, because what does everyone have in common? One of these. We've all got a human body. How does it work? How does my little Iesa crest work? That's basically, you know, what everyone needs to know. And whether or not you do the sacred secretion or not, or you just want to learn some amazing tools for holistic healing, these classes are going to benefit all types of interests for that, because it's all the same at the end of the day. And I must say, you know, I said before, I really want to bring back some fun, because, you know, not pointing my fingers at any one allopathic medical industry who's made everyone afraid of their own human bodies, which is basically, if you're afraid of your human body and your health, you're afraid of Iesa Christ. You're afraid of Jesus Christ, which is sadly ironic, but this is where we're at right now because of all of what Rome did to steal the Bible from Ireland and externalize allegorical metaphysical teachings and create a false history based on relabeling the world after they did their war ongoing. All of that has been, you know, externalized and personified as waiting for something that's never going to come. Because why would you wait for something that you already are? You already are an Iesa Christ. You're born that way. So it's about time that we started learning how this amazing piece of organic technology works, right? And another thing with all of this, especially with the sacred secretion or any kind of spiritual, you know, tasks that people are seeming to be interested in a lot these days, especially when I see like the word ascension. I don't even know what it means in terms of what people think it means. But also, I guess we kind of have that in terms of like the raising the Christ oil, raising the chrism, raising. English is a funny language because, you know, when you think of the word raising, you think of something going up, right? So people think, oh, ascension, it's raising, it's all just about going up and out. And that's actually what the Daoists teach, which I disagree with, which is, oh, you build energy in this cauldron and then you move it up to this cauldron and you move it up to that cauldron, and then you open a secret door and you return back to the mystical land of the immortals. And it's like, well, hang on. We're energy. Everyone is energy that cannot die. It only transforms, which is a basic Daoist Chinese inner alchemical teaching that energy only transforms, it does not ever die. So why would you want to be going off to the land of the immortals if you're already an immortal? So I want to look into debunking stuff that I feel is leading people down dangerous rabbit holes. I've seen a lot of it. I'm going to have a lot of stories in these classes about my personal experiences, which has grown my wealth of knowledge, my wisdom. And, the shenanigans that I have seen going on that I've had to help people with, because I used to live in a spiritual community and we had spiritual festivals, and, I live on Bali now. It's very spiritual. And, reading their stuff, the ancient Daoist stuff, and seeing the stuff that goes on where people think that ascension means leaving the body, dangerous, because when you know that, you're already immortal, you're already born into an Iesa Christ, you don't need to go anywhere. You don't need to go anywhere. You especially don't want to be leaving your body, especially in the current climate of where we're at right now, where there's a lot of entities out there that would love to get into your body. So the moment you leave that body and you just unlock the house, leave the keys in the door, doors and windows open, and you go wandering off into the wilderness, someone and all their mates could easily come into your house and barricade themselves in. And that's what we call energy parasites and being hosted, right? So I want to very, very fastidiously unpick all of this information with a fine-tooth comb and a very critical eye on it, because it's really, we're at a serious point with all of this information now. I've been interested in this kind of world since I was about 17, so in the late 90s I've been doing this kind of stuff. And we can't be ignoramuses anymore when it comes to all of this knowledge. And I think a lot of what I've been reading in this Daoist stuff, while they do have some very good stuff, they also they have some stuff where I feel that they have been infiltrated as a teaching, which we'll get to, because I can't tell it all in an intro video. I just want to tell you the scope of this, which is going to be very, very deep as well into with the spiritual protection and entity possession and how to do exorcism and all of that kind of thing, which everyone should know. It's not hard. It's just knowing, the more that you get to know yourself, healer, know thyself, the more that you get to know whether or not what you're feeling is you or not you. And it's all about really learning, your inner world in relationship and harmony with your external world, your environment, your daily life, your food, your diet, your exercise, the people you hang out with, the jobs that you do, the things that are happening in the skies. It's all part of the sacred secretion, is what I'm trying to say, is that when you start learning, if you want to learn the sacred secretion or just little pieces and parts of it which make up the sacred secretion, you realize that it's just a teaching about everything. The Daoists say in the alchemical experience, it's all about returning to Tao, returning to God. That's what mysticism is, returning to God. But if we take it into context that we're not meant to go anywhere to do that, because we're already born into God's creation, it's really about a return to knowing yourself. And that's sort of what pops the bubble on all of the stuff. It's like, that's a real letdown. Going on a magical mystery tour or going psychedelic or meeting aliens or going on astral travel, we're actually learning about what we've already got. Isn't that boring? Or isn't that the most amazing thing that you've ever been gifted? And that's what is being so coveted. And that's why all of this harassment that keeps getting worse and worse from the external world that we can see is vying for your attention to get you out of your body through your attention. It's been especially ramped up in the last 6 years with all of the, the lockdown and everything. Fear out there makes you look out there so you can protect yourself from the predator. But meanwhile, you're just looking out there entranced by everything that's going on now, like hypnosis, and no one's left inside anymore and in charge of your vessel. And that's where we're at, and that's where we're at in yeah, kind of a dangerous point in my my opinion, where if we don't start taking charge of this and putting ourselves back in the driver's seat instead of letting like Netflix drive you around every day, then this is what the job is to actually become the Iesa Christ, become the Jesus Christ by just realizing that you already are, which is the easiest and hardest job of it all, right? So that's the big mystery. They have this in the Daoist painting. The big mystery is that there is no mystery, and that will lead you down all of the rabbit holes that you can possibly find on the internet that's now getting erased before our very eyes. All of the information is being deleted, so we better get busy learning some stuff before it all goes away. So if you do have an interest to learn some of the stuff that I'm teaching, I'm going to make, like the day before I release the class on my website, I'll make a little mini video like this. Hello, this is what will be in the class this week, and then go to the link. And then at the end of that week, the next week, we'll have a group discussion. This is what I really want to foster, is bringing people back together again. This is what I've noticed in myself recently as well, is like, I don't want to be online. I don't want to learn anything new online. I don't want to go down a rabbit hole. I'm so easily programmed into going down rabbit holes now, it's not funny. So I have to sort of almost not look at anything. So I want to just provide a place where we can, as a team, talk about one thing with one focus. Learn some stuff, have a talk about it, and then feel like humans again, because we've talked to humans again. That's the basics, which is getting back to basics, getting back to the classroom environment, focusing our attention on something deeply instead of focusing little pieces of attention on little superficial things and getting very confused and learning nothing. Let's focus deeply on one thing. The core of it is this, the human body. And then as it builds layers and goes out from there, we're going to go to the greatest cosmic perspectives and the most microscopical cellular size inspection. So this is the teaching of the Iesa Christ on the online School of Mysticism, coming to you from me very soon. So yeah, subscribe, keep posted, join my Telegram, and I'll be releasing the first episode next week. Bye for now.